Okay guys, I'm back for part 2, and as you see I have changed my perspective, so I'm not even going to tell you how I jerry-rigged this camera. Let's just say it involves packing tape and boxes, and we'll leave it at that. Okay, so let's go ahead, and if my husband walks out here and sees me doing this, he's going to have a conniption. Okay, alright, never mind. Back to what we're doing. Okay, so now I've finished off the edges with my border ribbon. So now we're going to go ahead and move on to the little ribbons that we're going to be hanging or using in this center. And this is going to be what we're going to use to hang or to clip our ribbons on. Okay. Now an alternative to doing this the way that I did it is I did the border first. And I'm putting these on, and I'm going to use these little buttons on the edges here to camouflage the ends. Another option would be, if you didn't want to do the buttons, to do the ribbon first, these ribbons, and wrap them all the way around the back, and then when you're done, put the border ribbon on here. But oh darn it, I just dropped a button. But I didn't do that, as you know. So anyway, just wanted to give you an alternative in case you didn't have buttons or you didn't like the look of the buttons and you wanted to do something different. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use this sheer ribbon first, and I'm going to go ahead and tack it down. Some here, hot glue it, oops a daisy, and I'm going to go ahead and stick that down. And on these sheer ribbons, as I'm sure most of you have done crafting know, the hot glue has a tendency to kind of come through the weaving of the ribbon. So if you try to use your hands, it will stick to your fingers, so you need to be careful. Just make sure you have your ribbon tight, and shoot your bottom on here, and go ahead and pull it. Let it set for just a second like I did before you start yanking on it too hard, or the top part's going to come off. And put your bottom portion on. Okay, now this is for little girl clippies, and so they're not going to be super heavy duty barrettes. So this doesn't have to be like supremely taut, but if you don't like how loose this is, by all means make it tighter. So, and then I'm going to go ahead and put my buttons on the ends here. Get one, and down here. And this just kind of gives it a little something extra, especially if the little ones don't have a lot of barrettes yet. It's just going to kind of look like a piece of canvas with ribbon and nothing on it. And also just make sure that your canvas is straight, so that way your ribbon will be straight as well. And then I'm going to do this one next. And I'm sure if you guys have probably noticed that I'm not doing the same color scheme as I did with the photo board, even though this is going to be going to the same recipient. These kind of have more of an orange tone to it. I'm pulling a lot of the color from this dress and the blue from hers. My friend, I know, like she has a couple of different Dick and Jane patterns in her daughter's nursery. So she has like a primary color theme, but I know she also has a lot of orange in the room as well. I think her curtains in the room have a pretty heavy orange background. So that's why I've decided for the picture hanger here, or the barrette hanger, I'm sorry, to use this more of an orange theme as opposed to the primary colors that I used in the photo board. So, okay, so there's that, and I'm going to go ahead and put the buttons on the edge. And this time around I decided to go for these green buttons instead of the pink ones. But they're the same buttons that I talked to you about before. They're the little button sets that you can get from Michael's in their dollar bin. Okay, so there's those two. And then this is going to be my third. And again, guys, you can do this. You by no means have to do just 3. I'm just doing 3, but you can do 4 rows or 5 rows or 2 rows or 1 row, or customize it however is going to work best for you. So I made this one just a hair too long. I'm going to trim that just a tiny bit. Okay. And space that out. And as you can see, there's no measuring involved. I am totally eyeballing this. I am not an exact crafter. I mean, I try to eyeball things symmetrical, but I don't take measurements, and I don't obsess over having stuff being perfectly symmetrical. For me, that part of the thing of having something handmade as opposed to machine made is handmade, it's handmade. And there's going to be tiny little imperfections in there. And that's what gives it the unique characteristic of being something handmade instead of a machine that's going to crank something out perfect. So, well, a machine will crank it out close to perfect anyway. Okay, so now I have my last little buttons here, top and bottom. Okay, and if you guys will remember, I had a picture hanger on the back already, so I don't need to worry about it. However, if you didn't have a picture hanger on the back of this, you could simply just go ahead and take, you know, some ribbon and just hot. You know what? Oops-a-daisy, guess what I did? Look what I did, guys. Look how it's gonna hang. Alright, all I'm going to do is just take I'll find a little screwdriver, and I'll just go ahead and take these screws out and hot glue it so that it hangs properly. So while I said, you know, part of handmade, it doesn't have to be perfect, you at least need it to be hanging in the right direction. Okay, so I'll fix that. But let me get back to what I was saying before. And I really want to be able to use this little picture hanger on here, so I'm not going to do this ribbon deal. But getting back to what I was mentioning before, if you didn't have a hanger on there, or you didn't want to use a hanger, you could simply just take a length of ribbon, whatever color you'd like, and just tack it down and make yourself a little loop like that. And then you would just have, you know, a little hanging ribbon like that. And I would, you know, probably space it out a little bit more so it wasn't quite so tight. And if you wanted to do a hanging ribbon like that, you could. I'm not, like I said though, I'm not going to do that because I want to leave it pretty simple. I don't want it to have a whole bunch going on. So anyway, so here is my finished project. And there's my little barrette holder. And then you just simply take the little clippies and you slide them through there and clink it down on the ribbon, and you're good to go. And if you wanted to, you know, add to it, you could hot glue some cup hooks down at the bottom to hang like headbands off of, or rubber bands off of. But I'm not going to worry about that though, because this is for a newborn baby, so she's pretty much only, I think, going to be using clippies in her hair at the beginning. So anyway, there's my project. So thanks so much for watching, you guys. Happy crafting.